My name's Amy. I am 36. When we looked at those, mine was all texting and like social media. It was very social. And so I was like, okay, if I get rid of social media, everything's cool. The problem was that I still use, and I do use my light phone a lot for socializing. And every time I would get a text or a call, I would then be on the internet because it would ping me, and then I have this like shiny object, and then here I am like in my phone looking at God knows what. And then like every time I get a text, which is like multiple times a day, I'm like in some pointless thing on my phone. And I was like, the problem is the phone and the computer are like one thing, and I need them to not be one thing. The light phone helps you learn to tolerate boredom, whether you like it or not. And again, it's like harder in the beginning, but this was a big like Cal Newportism as well. Boredom is necessary. Like you need to have boredom to have thoughts. You need to have boredom to have ideas. To realize that you don't like something. So, I mean, and boredom is baked into toddler parenting. I mean, like, it is just part of it. You are like at a completely, what you find interesting, what they find interesting are wildly different. And you have to be attentive to what they need and want to do. And that's just part of this phase. So, it has helped me very much just be okay with not being constantly stimulated and engaged, like mentally or cognitively at all times, because that's just not realistic for parenting. Yeah. That is a great question. I was worried about that too, but you know what? Do we really need to take this many photos of our children? I mean, when we were kids, well, I don't know how old you guys are, but like there are literally like there's like 12 baby pictures of me because I was the third. I have had some thoughts about that. Like, just because they can't see pictures of him, that doesn't make them any less or more in his life. I mean, seeing a picture of someone's kid is not helping raise them, it's not hanging out with them, it's not coming to visit them. So it's more voyeurism, really. I mean, I, I don't want to sound so negative. I mean, I think I love getting pictures of people's kids too. I think it's a poor substitute for like a relationship with your someone's kid. So, and I think people really think that if they see pictures of other people's children, that they know them. You know what I mean? This was something that I was going to bring up with you guys today. Like, one of the conversations that I remember having before I made the switch was with a friend of mine that I speak to regularly. And she was like, "You're going to be lonely if you do this." Like, she was concerned about my well being because she was like, "You're up there in Portland. You are like, have this kid in a pandemic. People are not going to engage with you on the phone level the way that you want. People are not going to jump with you into the like, let's always have phone calls world universe. Like, you're going to get left in the dust. Basically, I'm concerned that you're going to be lonely. No one's going to talk to you anymore. And people have really stepped up. Like, close friends of mine have changed the way that they communicate with me, have been more likely to call me. We've like reestablished different type of communication, and that has been the best part of the phone. Seeing what your friends are doing all the time, I mean, you have to ask them to find out, and it's just so much more of a normal way of getting information, and also like not getting false information. So not just even without the social media, because again, I did delete the social media first, but even what people will communicate to you via text message is so much different than an actual conversation. And everybody, me too, I mean, just what you feel comfortable communicating in that format is not going to be real. It can be close to real, but it's just not as real. Using a light phone compared to using a smartphone is just so freeing, calming, um, way more normal. Like, just way more normal about like your perspective is just way more normal in my opinion, like compared to what people start thinking about themselves and the context that they live in when you use a smartphone and you have the internet so close to you at all times. It just distorts your perspective of time, of communication, of your own importance, your own activities, and also just like your self-worth. And without that constantly around, you just feel way more at ease with your situation. I have a very self-directed. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I work with older adults, and I do a lot of driving, like drive to their where they live. And I mean, the driving is much safer, that's for sure. I split my device into multiple devices. That was I spent a lot of time before I actually fully used switched over to the light phone trying to figure out, like, I was on Reddit looking at what people were doing to try to figure out how I was going to maintain what I appreciated about the smartphone. And one of the ways that I did that was getting a GPS. You guys, I haven't even used the directions tool. I mean, like, I'm all for it, but I also am like, I'm not going to use this because I have a GPS. The GPS for drivers is amazing. Like, people make fun of me for this too, but I have like a $90 GPS that is just in my car. Yeah, it's the best. I love it. Everybody needs a light phone. Like, from my perspective at work, I mean, we need to figure out our relationship with the internet very differently. It's not going well for us right now. My attention span has improved dramatically. I mean, one of the big reasons that I switched, which we haven't really talked about, was my, again, with the news stuff, it goes in the same line of I was not able to just read one thing. Like, this is the book that I'm reading today, and I'm going to read it tomorrow and the next day until I finish this book. I was just constantly piling on and piling on things I was reading. So, part of digital minimalism, too, in the book is he's recognizing, Cal Newport's like recognizing that a lot of us millennials, elder and otherwise, are not good at reading anymore because we're out of practice. I mean, it's something that requires practice. And so he's like, you got to practice reading. It sounds ridiculous, but like the phone, reading things on your smartphone, it's no one's fault. Your brain is trying to help you with how much is coming at you and the format by skimming.